Excuse me for getting right to the point, but why haven't you won your wife back yet? Hear me out for 1 second. Of course you want to save your marriage. You want her to respect you and want you again. So let's ask yourself, why is she still pulling away? It's not because she said that there's no chance or that you've run out of time.
And I asked her this the other day. I said, what percentage would you say we were done? And she's like, I would say 100%. I knew I wanted it to work, but I also knew that she was dead set on it not working.
It's because of fear. Fear of what? Fear of failing, fear of pushing her away and taking the wrong step. And that fear has you stuck in the exact behaviors that will kill attraction and trust. So in this video, I'm not only going to prove to you that you can save your marriage without begging or chasing, I'm also going to show you step by step the exact changes that men have used to stop divorce and rebuild passion again like this.
There is a lightness in what we do. I almost feel like we're in a dating stage again. And she goes, this is what I truly want. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. We're going to make this work.
The second principle here is one that unlocks her warm feminine side.
Suddenly, all of her issues were done. She was just grateful. Next Friday, we're getting our vows blessed.
Wow. That's one hell of a story.
Yeah.
Let's get started. One of my clients, Jens, recalls a rude awakening his wife gave him.
Because I knew my wife was serious when she said she was going to divorce me.
Okay. Like so many men, he'd been drifting on autopilot, totally blind on how far she checked out. And when reality finally hit him, it knocked the wind out of him.
I knew she probably was serious before, but I just didn't think I think that was just slight narcissistic attitude of sorts, maybe arrogance, stubbornness. But there was something about when she told me in probably November, I was like, "Ooh, something's different." And so I didn't know what to do.
See, Jens had been married before, and the first time he tried to fix things, he went the standard route, hoping counseling would save the marriage. But instead, man, it lit a fuse.
I tried counseling when I'd first gotten my first divorce, and I felt that it made me angry as opposed to helping me.
Yeah.
And so I just felt counseling doesn't work. And so I started looking up stuff online.
As a licensed therapist, I know counseling can help, but only when both people are all in. Now, Jens didn't have the luxury this time. He needed a path forward, and he needed it fast.
I found some other course, and I tried it, and I think it just made my current wife, very angry. And I think there was some validity to the course. It's just that we were probably way beyond what this course was supposed to do.
You see, he was running out of time and options. The next choice he made would decide everything.
I knew I wanted it to work, but I also knew that she was dead set on it not working. I decided I'm going to do everything possible. And then if she decides it doesn't work, that's on her.
With a thin thread of hope keeping him going, Jens knew that he had to step into territory where he never really touched before.
That's the sentiment, right? Jens is like, what really gets guys forward is like, I mean, you want to look back and say that you tried everything you could.
Yeah.
And so that little voice whispering in your head said, like, just go for try. Why not? Why don't live with regret, right?
And that's when he found us in our company. And this first principle hit him hard. It's the one that stops her from really pulling further away. And it's the first thing that softens her guard, so real healing can finally begin with her. Listen to Jens describe the invisible wall he walked through after watching some of my videos.
The one that was different, though, was working on you. And I'm like, that's different. Maybe I should work on me. And I didn't think there was anything wrong with me at the time, but figured I'm going to work on me anyway, because, I mean, I have to work on something. And obviously trying to work on fixing my wife is not working. Probably in early January, something hit me that I am the problem. And so I started working on me.
For the first time in his marriage, he took extreme ownership over how he had added to the tension in his home. Instead of speaking up, he used to pull her back. Instead of listening, he tried to fix her, right? And his pride kept him from seeing the real damage in real time. But if this principle is so powerful, why do so many men struggle to implement it for powerful change in their life? We as human beings, we're resistant to change. I mean, let's face it. Look at what it took to happen in your marriage to listen to my words right now. Honestly, the truth is this: when you can fully own your actions, not try to change her perspective, but fully own your actions, right? The times you got short with her. I mean, the nights where you checked out, that tone that made her go, huh, like kind of like guard up, right? Most men aren't even aware of how these habits became patterns over time that destroyed her emotional safety. Imagine this mirror that just follows you around the house, and every time that you really react or get defensive or walk away, the mirror shows it back, twofold even. It receives and then amplifies whatever you're giving it back to you. That's what she does for you. And this principle allows you to look at yourself in the mirror and see what's happening from her to response to you to say, oh, there's something else going on here that I'm not seeing.
I think the biggest thing that I learned from this was that and I never considered myself to be someone with a big ego and looking back, I realized I had much more of an ego than what I thought I did. And I think that that blinded me to so much.
Once you take ownership and clear that invisible barrier, you're ready for the next step. Now, this is the one that wakes up her soft feminine energy, okay? The part of her that can open up again and move closer to you on her own.
Suddenly, all of her issues were done. She was just grateful. And she said, I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know what you think needs to happen, but I'm ready for us. I'm ready to get our vows blessed.
Jens is Catholic, okay? I mean, even though he hadn't been as steady in his faith as the recent years have gone on, he opened that door again when all this happened, as many men do, right? And it became part of his healing path. Listen to as he recalls the moments his marriage was hanging by a thread, and then the turning point that followed all of it.
It's been like a 2-week period of what I would consider to be, you always talk about that final test that you get of sorts. And that's what it felt like. We had had good moments, and then suddenly everything felt distant, opposite. And I just can't explain it. There was like no smile in her eyes. There was nothing there. I sat down with her and I said, I don't know what's going on. I'm just concerned we're moving in opposite directions. And she pretty much said, I was going to talk with you. I just couldn't find the right time. I feel like I'm damaged. I feel like I'm never recovering from this. I'm done. And and I had gone and spoken with our priest, and he had said, she's in spiritual desolation right now. She needs to get out of that. She's in this dark area. He goes, why are you trying to save the marriage? And I said, because to me, she's worth it. We have all of our values are exactly the same on every level. And I cannot imagine ever finding someone who shares my values to the letter on everything. And so he said, then you have to step up and you have to guide her out of that. And I said, well, how do I do that? I've been trying. He goes, pray about it. I don't know. You have to do it.
The principle here is loving leadership. You see, his wife was in a dark place, and the only way forward was for Jens to lead with calm strength. No amount of convincing her would bring her back. It only pushes her further away. And I talk a lot about loving leadership on this channel. Now, there's the micro kind of leadership. Those are the everyday decisions that you make of picking where to eat, where to go, what time to do this, even what to wear for the kids, stuff like that, okay? And then there's the macro kind of leadership. Now, this is the deeper kind. It's more subtle. It's not on the surface as much, okay? It's more covert. It's when you live like the man that you say that you are. It's when your actions line up with your values every single day. You see, Jens had to be an example of steady faith and character. He had to show it in small ways, like praying with intent or finishing the task that he said he would do.
Yeah, that's the leadership we talk about a lot, Jens, right? Like,
yeah,
relationship, not just leading by like, oh, we're going to go eat here, wear this, do that. That's like micro leadership, practical leadership. Leadership goes on the macro level of like leading her to her own light. And you're the example.
yeah.
I want to reinforce this before we get too far away from it. Is that a lot of guys that they really struggle, and you probably struggle with this, like, how do I convince my wife? How do I show her? How do I and it's you, if you truly haven't there's no trick. Like God shows you, if you truly have made that transformational shift within yourself, she will notice and she will inspire to do the same. And she did with you. And that's one to reinforce.
Yeah.
But there's another type of leadership that he also stepped into. And it's a big one for really reconnecting with your wife. Have a listen.
Well, and interestingly enough, we had an extensive conversation. She was angry with me at first. We had gotten her a gift certificate to go get a massage. I think Stacy had told her she should get like a weekly massage, and she was like, I'm not going to do that. And she wasn't going. So every once in a while, I would just go buy her a gift certificate to go get a massage because I knew she wasn't going to do it on her own. And so we'd gotten her one that day, and or maybe the day before, 2 days before, I can't remember what it was. And she like threw it at me. I don't want this. I'm done. I'm packing. I'm leaving. And then I sat there through the storm, looked at her, let her vent, and I said, I know you're done. I know you feel that way, but we have so much more ahead of us that we can accomplish.
She threw the gift certificate at him and vented with everything she had. And what did Jens do? He sat there, calm, steady, right? Letting her get it out, okay? He stayed present. He looked at her with soft eyes and he listened. That's what emotional leadership is. It helps her settle because it gives her a place to land. And it's how you guide her out of the storm. When you stop trying to shut her down or fix her emotions, you reach her on a deeper level. She lets her guard drop. Now, I told you that this principle was a breakthrough for their marriage. But listen to this moment where Jens, how it really brought his wife back.
The priest that we have is very good. He actually helped guide me back into the church. And I said, I may be stepping out of line here. I said, I promised myself when I started this program, I would beg you for nothing. I would let things work out the way they are. I said, but I'm going to break this promise today, and I'm going to beg you right now. Not for me. If this means you have to leave me, I'm okay with that. But I'm going to beg you to go speak to Father Sergio, which is the priest. You have to get out of this funk, and I can't do it for you, and you can't do it for yourself. And I know because I have gone and spoken with him on numerous occasions. There's spiritual guidance that priests, pastors are supposed to give people. And when I had gone and spoke with them, I walked out of there thinking like, oh my gosh, I feel so much lighter. So I've lost all my burden that I have. Everything's gone. And so I said, I need you to do this. Please, I'm begging you, please go speak to him. I was walking out to my truck and I was about to get in my truck and I get a phone call from her and she's on the phone crying and she tells me, thank you. I needed that push. And she goes, I cannot tell you how lighter I feel. She went and spoke to him for about an hour and he told her, just go sit in the church afterwards. That was her, because she also went to confession. That was her penance. And she said she just sat in the church for about an hour and a half and just sat there thinking about how suddenly all of her issues were done. And so she was just grateful. And we talked about it again that night. We talked about it Saturday. Sunday morning, we were supposed to we were going to go to church. And she got up early with me. And she said, I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know what you think needs to happen, but I'm ready for us. Because once I had my annulment, we can get our vows blessed. She goes, I'm ready to get our vows blessed.
When you're able to change how you lead and instead just embody this present, let's call it presence, strength, stability, not moving too much emotionally. She leans towards you again because she feels safe. And the real key behind it is that the reason why it works so well is it came from the inside with Jens, at least, okay? And it will with you as well. So this is going to take us to the next principle. And it's a secret ingredient that pulls her even closer with this magnetic pull to it. The principle has been the turning point for hundreds of our clients in our program. Listen to this part of our conversation.
So a lot of guys, when I talk about begging in the program, a lot of times men say these things in order to really get her to come back to them, right? It's coming from a selfish place. Like, dude, see this perspective, see it this way, look at the kids in memory, all this so you come back to me. And she feels that selfish need. And that's what she rejects. That's the place of begging we talk about, where when you begged her to go see the priest, it was coming from a place of pure, I want you to work through what you are doing. It was coming from a place of giving, not receiving. You see the difference there? Guys will search for the right words to say to their wife. And I can give words. I can say things this way. Don't use this tone. And it's all helpful. But at the end of the day, it's not the words you're saying, but who is saying it and where it's coming from. And I can tell where you're at in your mental and in your spiritual, where you are emotionally. you're in a place of like, I want what's best for her and I want to protect her. That certainty mixed with wanting what's best for her, that helps you embody this man that makes her feel safe. Because you're holding that space and letting her feel safe enough, now she's able to really make a decision that is kind of like best for her in that moment.
I honestly feel that at this stage of our relationship, I'm good with whatever she decided was best for her.
And that's the letting go we talk about, isn't it?
Yeah.
The principle here is letting go. Now, letting go is simple in concept, but difficult in practice. See, this is about releasing the outcome and staying locked into the process instead. Psychologists call this detachment from outcome, and research even shows it lowers tension in both people, okay, and it clears the path for real change.
I said, if this results in you needing to leave, I can accept that. My soul hurt for her. And so I needed for me too, for her to get better.
Now that's letting go in a nutshell. And you have to understand that Jens, he stood there with open hands. He stopped trying to like prove himself, right? Like it's so subtle. You can feel this within yourself if you're honest with yourself. Stop trying to convince her that I'm a new man. Because when you try to convince, it shows the opposite. You're supplicating.
Like I said before, it's like you can't fake it. You know, some guys, they'll say like, okay, let go. Okay. Yeah, I don't need her. Or the forgiveness aspect, right? It's like,
yeah,
I've forgiven her, check mark. It's like, no, it doesn't sound like it. You know what I mean? And so really, it's really something you can't fake. You have to truly learn that lesson. And once you do, you are rewarded with the fruits of that labor, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
When your actions legitimately come from a place of care with no strings attached, she's drawn to that. She senses it. And she starts moving toward you again on her own. Now, this next principle helps you live that out day after day. It gives you your best shot at rebuilding trust, and it shows her your changes aren't a burst of effort that's going to fade away eventually. It's something she can instead count on. Now, I'm going to tell you how to best lean into this process in a bit, but I just want to let you know, if you want further help to be a client like Jens, the first step he took was he set up a call with our team down below. It's a free strategy call. You're going to get on a call with our marriage evaluators. We're going to give you a detailed blueprint and outline of how you got to where you are in your marriage and the exact actions to take to get her back. Now, only set up that call if you're emotionally invested and ready to do something different in your life. All right, let's continue. The next part of this is the tempo shift. Listen to Jens.
I started going through the course probably too quickly early on, but I was just trying to fast forward as quickly as I can to get to the part where I saved our marriage, which I think is a very common thing to do. About, I don't know, 4 or 5 modules in, I was like, I haven't really accomplished much of anything. So started over again and really started working on it. And it's like, I think this might be worth it. And I started feeling better about myself.
He is describing something I call controlled tempo shift. This means you stop rushing and you take steady steps instead. Okay, this gives you time to actually understand the concepts and let them actually sink in and take effect, okay? This is a new concept I'm talking about. So let's talk about the Karate Kid for a second, right? There's that scene where Daniel, he wants to really learn fast. He wants the results now, right? But Mr. Miyagi, okay, the mentor, he has him do the slow, simple tasks. I'm not going to even say the words because you know what it is, right? At first, it feels pointless, doesn't it? What does cleaning the car or painting the fence have anything to do with karate? But to see the skills lock in, right? What is you taking responsibility for things? What is you focusing on the process of yourself? How does that get your wife back? Those are different things, right?
Show me wax on, wax off. That!
You see, much like Daniel, he was learning karate all along, okay? There has to be patience and trust in a process, okay? There's no sprinting.
I do want the process to speed up, and I have to remind myself to slow down. And every once in a while, she's like, "You need to slow down. We need to do this the right way." I almost feel like we're in a dating stage again. We know each other, but we don't know each other in some regards. And so we've decided we're just going to go slowly. She goes, "Yes, this is what I want." And so we both know what we're moving forward.
Trusting the process is knowing that what I'm saying is based on thousands of examples, okay? If you trust that process and you trust me, you'll get the results. And once you correct this, you open the door to actually going a lot faster. Now, for this final principle, it is the unsung hero in all the principles. I introduced you to the idea of trying something different. Now, this thing does have a connection with your wife more than you'll realize. but just trust the process. Okay. Listen to our conversation and how we talk about it first.
What was, you would say, the most powerful lesson, or the first lesson that comes to your mind is the most powerful lesson you learned that helped with the progress that you've had in the program?
Forgiveness. When all this started, I was angry with her. Angry, like, how dare you want to divorce me?
Yep.
And that's the male mindset. And then you kind of go through the stages of grieving. I mean, it's like a death, and you go through them all. And in the end, I realized that I was making no progress until I truly forgave.
It's about finding forgiveness. Now, there is a large difference between saying words and actually living them. Okay. Real forgiveness, it shows up in your actions and how you carry yourself. Because when you truly forgive, you stop replaying old arguments of waiting for her to fix the past. Okay. You stop bringing up old pain as well. And so does she. And it's like carrying a heavy stone in your backpack, right? Everything just feels harder than it should when you hold on to resentment. But when you remove that resentment away from your life, you show up lighter. You're less reactive. Okay. She senses that change in you. And until you do this, resentment, it'll just take up space in your mind and in your heart. And it blocks every bit of progress.
I remember going to speak to the priest multiple times about forgiveness. And I've listened to the modules on forgiveness, and I'd say, yeah, I forgive her. And I'd find out hold resentment. And I'm like, but I've forgiven her. And one day, and I don't know what it was, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I realized that no matter what she did, I was already forgiving her. So I felt like I was already forgiven her for the future, if that makes sense. And once that happened, I developed this peace that I just could not do away with. Now, I had my struggles from day to day, emotional struggles, but I walked around with this inner peace that just really helped me work better through all the modules that were there, because I went back and redid some of them, and I'd go on the forums and the entire time, and I read the forums and I'm like, you need to forgive, and that's just in my head, that's always there.
When Jens reached that place where he could release the old pain, he found an inner peace that changed the way he walked through life each day. I want you to notice what happened next.
And I feel like I don't have to forgive for anything in the past, because, to be honest with you, she keeps asking me, I'm surely there are things that I've done that I contributed to in this marriage. And I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't matter anymore. That is the one thing, forgiveness, that really changed my outlook.
Forgiveness doesn't make you passive. It makes you lighter, clearer, more steady, and the ability to hold more compassion, to hold her emotions more, because you've forgiven her. You've let go.
I think things happen for a reason, and I think I needed to suffer to be able to. It's like the priest told me, you can't have Easter Sunday without Good Friday. And I needed this Good Friday of 8 months, 9 months, 10 months for me to truly realize my personal happiness and my own what was important to me.
Now look, for another powerful story of saving a marriage when it felt hopeless, check that one right there if I could snap, right? And the last thing I want to say is, if nothing changes for you, nothing changes, right? So if you take different action, you'll get different results. And so if you're struggling, look at your actions honestly and say, maybe you need help, but if you don't, at least take different action and you'll get different results. And then keep on doing that consistently over time, and you'll see transformations like Jens. Thanks for watching. And again, check out this video. Set up a call to our team if you need additional help. See you in the next one.